This is the Teachers Off Duty podcast. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about things that need to change in education, like politics, discipline, funding, putting kids where they need to go, and most of all, putting kids first.
Everybody, what's up? Happy Sunday, happy fun day. Welcome to another wonderful episode of the Teachers Off Duty podcast. That's right, the Board Teachers Comedy Tour take over. It is your man, KC Mack, with the lovely folks to my left and right. Bing, bing.
It was the neck to the side.
Bing, bing.
Hey, best friends, I'm HonestTeacherVibes.
And I'm Mike Rivera, Mr. Rivera Comedy. Thank you.
Mr. Rivera Comedy, man.
Mike, did you forget you were sitting over there for a
Right,
second?
yeah. I was looking at Mike like, hey, it's been 25 years of
25
education.
years.
You can't, come on, man.
Right.
We got to give him a little break.
1,000-yard stare.
25 to
Understandable.
life.
25 years of education. How long you been doing comedy?
Just over 28 probably.
Wow.
Dang,
That's what's up, man.
that's amazing.
Very hilarious guy
One
right
of the
here.
greats.
Very hilarious woman to my left. These are some funny people. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying
I'm
that.
a comedy baby.
I've actually watched these people and laughed at these people on stage right there at the Board Teachers Comedy Tour. And listen, people, man, already this whole year we've been
Everywhere.
kicking butt.
Kicking butt.
So sold out shows already. It's definitely going down. And starting next Thursday, we're going to be in Burlington, Vermont. We're going to be in Binghamton, New York. We're going to be in Ithaca, New York. And on Sunday, we're going to be in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Please make sure you get your tickets. And speaking of tickets, listen, North Carolina, get them tickets. South Carolina, get them tickets. Georgia, listen, Georgia, Savannah, Athens, we need you to get them tickets. Yes. Indiana, get them tickets. Massachusetts, Idaho, Utah, Canada, Kentucky,
I'm
Mississippi.
excited about Canada. I'm excited about Canada.
I'm excited about Canada, too.
Even though I live in Mississippi, I'm excited about Canada.
Yeah, because we're going from Canada to Mississippi, then
So
Louisiana, Wyoming, Colorado, Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, and we're going to be all around California in May. Yay, yay.
You just come up with that?
Yeah, freestyle.
Yay, yay, yay.
And this is, man, it's cool though. Now, for real, get your tickets, man. I have so much fun on tour.
Tour is fun.
It's just a cool thing, man.
And we love getting to meet y'all. Like,
Yes, because we do a lot. We're doing it differently this year, man. There's no like just scheduled meet and greet. We're just gonna be at the merchandise table. So you just come over and holler at us, man. We're right there. We'll take pictures with you, hug on you, laugh on you, cry on you, pray, whatever you need. Whatever you need, we'll be right there though. So we really want to make this year really intimate with our followers because you guys have been rocking with us. This is the third year for the tour. Mm-hmm. So we just really appreciate you guys. So can't wait to see you guys. And I can't wait for you guys to listen to this episode because it's definitely one that's going to be close to a lot of our hearts because this episode is about things that need to change in education.
There's a lot.
It's so much, man. This one, I'm going to be just back soaking up all this because again, I commend both of you guys. You guys are still in the classroom. You guys are still doing your thing. You know.
Now you taught for how many years, Case?
10.
Yeah.
10.
Come on,
10
my boy.
years. 10 years. I know.
Nah, you got years in the game. Stop playing.
Yeah.
Once a teacher, always a teacher.
Definitely though. But you know, like I know every year is different.
Yeah.
You know,
that's true.
Every year is different.
That's true.
Even though I talk to my teacher besties now, we're still in the same group chat and all that. And just by them, just talking to them and hearing the things that have changed since last year, I'm like, wow.
It's something new.
I don't know if I could
every
have done it this year 'cause you guys. I might have got out when the good Lord, he blessed me to get out right when I could.
There is something every year. There's always some kind of new curriculum, some news. Because last year, what was it that, this was Florida because y'all always doing the most, but where they wanted the teachers to show the parents their lesson plans for the entire, or they had to show their lesson plans for the entire year or something like that.
Yeah, that's wild.
There was some variation of that, but the one thing we had to do was if you had a classroom library, and you couldn't ask help, you had to do it yourself and then submit it and stuff like that. So that's why at the beginning of the year, when I went to the school, all these books are just being put there. And that's
because what, you had to get rid of certain books, or you had to,
or anything that might be questionable that so that we're responsible.
How would you know if it was questionable? You hadn't read every book that's on your shelf.
This is the Florida thing, right? With the Okay. Yeah.
Because there's like books that they've banned that like we read it when we were in school, like Roll of Thunder.
Yeah.
I feel like I read Native Son when I was in school, and I'm I was like, dang.
But go.
No, I was just going to ask you. So give me a little insight. So from their perspective, what is their
they'll
trying
give you
to accomplish?
a list of things, but usually, especially it's the reading teachers.
Yeah, I teach English. Yep.
So
I
many
can't
books
imagine
there.
them telling me.
So they're
like,
responsible for that.
Yeah.
And I know in our county, they had to go through them. Usually, okay, I'm going to go with your librarian and stuff to do it. No, it's like, no, the teacher's responsible.
English teachers, we have our own classroom library because we want our kids to check out books.
So that's something that's changed that definitely irks us very much so. And that's what's getting to the whole thing about what's wrong with education, and we can talk about that. But it's always it seems like when I started way back then, your principals, you had a principal, not a politician.
Yeah.
It seems
there's
now
a lot of politics in education right now.
But even your admin is politicking about stuff in school, and you're not getting the principal. You know, and that's and it's weird when I talk. I love my principal.
I'm about to say now, hold on now. I ain't gonna lie to you, big dog. That new principal I got, I ain't got nothing bad to say about.
Yeah, but
you've
principal. Seen.
But I have, based off of my other principals, I have seen.
They're politicians. They're playing. It's like do what's best. You know, do what's best for the school and the kid. Do what's best for the kid, not what's best for you.
No, I'm like, y'all shaking hands and kissing babies, y'all running for office.
Exactly.
I'm like, this is a dog and pony show.
And that is it.
I'm like, don't y'all disconnect it from the classroom. This is a dog and pony show.
Absolutely. And that's one of the biggest things to me that needs to change in education. And you always talk about, and we, at our shows and stuff, we always talk about teacher pay. My buddy, Tom, who taught for 38 years, and he knows I'm talking about. And he actually helped me write the bits years ago. Tom, he started in early 1970s, and they did an article on him. And when he retired, he showed me the same article that they did about him, what was wrong with teaching. Same things when it comes to pay, all this other stuff. And he did that to show us what's going on. So just to start things off, when you talk about teacher pay, and we complain, what has been done? What really has been done. And so what's great about the Board Teachers Comedy Tour is when we get to go around the country seeing how much they make. And there is a difference.
Listen, Mississippi is like the bottom of the barrel in pay. I had y'all know my best friend is Leslie Robb Comedy, but she teaches in Virginia. And I was like, well, how much y'all make? She said the same. I said, hold on. Y'all make like double what teachers make in Mississippi. Like Mississippi, they finally like raised the pay a little bit, but it's still, at one point in time, now I don't know if this is true or not, but at one point in time, people were saying that Mississippi had the largest or the most paid superintendent of schools for the state, but the least pay for teachers. Now, I didn't like look into it, because by the time I looked it up, it was like, that's not true. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I looked it up like months after it went viral and people were mad about it.
Right.
But there's always a disconnect. The people who are in charge are not boots on the ground anymore. And so they're disconnected from the people who should be having input to make decisions.
And it's in different states as we've traveled across the United States and talking to them. And when I see them, I say, I've been teaching now 25 years, barely make $60,000 a year.
Yeah.
So they wonder, why do you do comedy on the weekends?
Absolutely.
I have to.
Absolutely.
That's all my kids have ever known.
Absolutely.
I'm doing shows every weekend. If we're not doing the Board Teachers Comedy Tour, I'm doing my own shows. I have to do that.
Right.
That's the only thing my kids, who are now 24 and 21, know about me. So people always say, what do you do? Right, and what have they done?
Right, absolutely.
Nothing. So here was my solution. Okay,
tell us, Mikey.
I'm gonna. This is
give it to us.
preach.
Come on,
Here
you
we
better
go.
preach.
Well,
Oh, brother
Not the spicy
KC,
mayo.
Sister Bree, here we go. No, because it's amazing. We have a shortage of teachers around the United States.
Right.
I have all my young. Now I have to stay at my school because we want the pension, and so I'm
Absolutely,
stuck there. I'm
right.
stuck
You've been
there.
there too.
But if you're a young teacher, you know your lifespan is 5 years, and you're out. But what if in some of these other states that really do a lot better than we do, like in Florida, they start recruiting the teachers from Mississippi. Say, hey, would you like a $40,000 pay raise? And if you're single and you're 25 years old,
You better dip.
you're going to go do it. So I say, now I am a proud member of my union, or we have, but we don't have a union in Florida. We have an association.
We don't have a union
But you know
or
what I mean.
association.
So I'm the lead rep there, but I'm thinking, why don't my friends in Washington and stuff, and I want you, because I know a couple of you guys who are bigwigs in it, Fed and Randy and stuff like
you
that.
got people in, not you name dropping.
I'm because hopefully they're going to chime in.
Mike
Because
said
I've
got
always
people.
said, why don't you then get our the quote brothers and sisters in the union to help us with the moving companies, help us with this, help us with housing. So, and you would be shocked how many teachers I know in Florida would say, yeah, I'll go to New Jersey, I'll go to Pennsylvania, where they're giving
they
teachers.
do it for Teach for America. Like people move all the time.
But here's the thing, though. But you have to take account and factor in the cost of living as well, though.
The cost of living is
And-
different, but it
Right.
ain't that. It's
mean-
significantly different. But the pay from what we're being paid in Mississippi to the cost of living in Mississippi, whatever ratio it is, still ain't enough. And I know they saying taking into the cost of living, but it's like, Leslie makes significantly more than I make in Mississippi. And when I say significantly, I don't mean she makes a lot of money. I'm just saying in the teacher world. But the cost of living in Fredericksburg is different than the cost of living in Memphis or in South
Right,
Haven.
that's what I'm saying. But is it like a drastic number difference on like rent that they're paying or mortgage?
No, it is, but it's almost like they had the raise in pay. Still, they're not paid enough money because the bills are equivalent to what the raise in pay would have been. Like if they lived in Mississippi, it still would equal out because it's not enough money either way. It's like they paid you the least amount of money possible for that state, then turn around and paid you the least amount of money possible for that state. It's individual to the state, but across the country, teachers are woefully underpaid. Just
exactly.
significantly.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine the amount of teachers that left the profession just because they weren't getting paid, right?
And
it sucks because I just so happen to be fortunate. I left the profession, but I'm still in education in some realm. You feel what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, yes, I miss that day to day being in the classroom, being around my people and all that good stuff, but I'm still servicing educators. So, but imagine those who are not as fortunate as that, and they have to leave the profession and work in a totally different profession, but their heart is still in education.
Yeah.
But financially, they can't commit to it because of the money.
Well, I had
That's
my teacher
terrible.
bestie at my old school. She quit and she started working at Target, and I would see her all the time when I went to Target, and she was like, "Girl, I make less money, but I'm so happy."
And then there's that people.
She was
Then
like,
there's those
she
people.
was like, I make.
Yeah.
She was like, I make less money, but she
don't
was like,
look
my
back.
work stays at work. And there are people that have quit and they make significantly more money than they made, as a teacher. But for her, she was just like, this is what I'm like able to do. This is how many hours I'm able to work. She was like, She was like, I cannot, because she had been teaching for a long time too. She'd been teaching for like 15 years, 15 or 20 years, and she was like, I've been in education so long that I did not realize the weight of what I was taking home when I left. She was like working at Target. She's like, I'm checking these folks out, and then I get to leave work at work.
Which is why they're pursuing higher education to get more degrees in order for them to elevate and become coaches.
The pay
and
doesn't.
admin.
The
But yeah,
pay. It's
still-
so sad.
It's still sad.
It's honestly really sad.
still sad.
The national board certification, because we had at the beginning of January when we first went back to school, we had the meeting where they talk to you about being a bus driver and how much it can add to your salary, and they talk to you about the national board certification and how much it can add to your salary. And I'm like, how about y'all take that $20,000 and add it to their freaking salary, so they don't have to do all these hoops and jumps that they already did going to school to get an education degree. You're going to sit in a meeting, and I understand we need bus drivers. I understand what you're saying, but you asking people that's already overworked, and they didn't went and got a master's degree, and your salary increases by like $2,000 or $3,000, but you go get your national board certification, your salary increases by $10,000. I'm not
I
saying
have my doctorate and I'm driving a bus just to make ends meet.
Well, I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's horrible.
And so, this is one of those topics I'm like really passionate about, as I'm sure a lot of us are in education. But again, like we've been fortunate that we do, the Board Teachers Comedy too. We do, I've been
Keynote
fortunate to do
speaking,
social media,
wow.
keynote speaking, things like that. When I left my other school, I had the option because money creates options. I had the option to leave. I could leave. There's people always are like, if teachers complain so much, and this drives me insane when they say this, but they're if teachers complain so much, why don't they just quit? Y'all, it's not that simple. It's not that simple. There are people like Mike was saying, he's been teaching for 25 years. You've been teaching for that, for a significant amount of time. You're not just gonna be like, you know what, I quit. I'm gonna go. There is stuff at stake when you quit.
He is definitely attached to the profession. Like, I cannot see Mike working at any other profession. Could you imagine you doing anything?
Like I said, 25 to life. That is it.
Sound like a prison sentence. Lord, Mike.
But that's what
how long you in for?
That's what we are doing.
Jeez.
And there's people that genuinely love. So like, I quit teaching, and when I went back, people was like, "What the hell wrong with you? Like, why would you ever come back here?" And again, like, the person that I am in my heart, like, I love doing social media and I love doing stand up. But in my heart, like, I'm a teacher. In my heart, I'm an English teacher. I love being around kids. I love teaching in ELA. I love reading. I love analyzing text. I love teaching the kids how to do, those types of things. And in my heart, I'm a teacher, but I had the option to leave the school that I was at, take a break, and then go back. So even being able to take, a 7 or 8 month break and then go back gave me a little bit of a different perspective. But I also went back into a better school. And when I say better school, my school, same demographic of kids in my old school was same stuff, just different structures and systems put in place, and admin, different types of admin, because people quit bosses, they don't quit jobs.
Absolutely.
Right. And here's the thing too. So like, because I remember one of my vet teachers, she used to tell me all the time, because I used to be like, man, when I was trying to like work my way into that school system and that environment, and I was like, this district is paying more. I might just go over there. And she's like, but you got to understand something. Understand what you have here. Yes, they might be giving you an additional couple $1,000s over there, but you know what you got here. You know what the system is. It's kind of smooth over here. Yeah. It's kind of cool over here. You go over there, you never know what you're going to get. Right.
Listen.
You never know. And is it going to be worth it? That extra couple $1,000s? Is your peace?
Sanity,
is your sanity going to be worth it? But it's so unfortunate again that we have to be forced with those choices.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's just a struggle. I mean, it's one of those things where it's a struggle all the way around. And, I've said before, like, as a joke, like, people have to do jury duty. Everybody's got to, if you get the letter in the mail that you have to do jury duty, you ain't got no choice, you know what I'm saying, but to do it. And I'm like, I wish we could do something like that with substitute teaching, or some kind of kind of partnership or something where people, because again, it's
like
one of those things.
Army drafts people. We should be drafting.
It's one of those things where, like, you can't have empathy. You can have sympathy for somebody, but like, if you've been through something similar and you've seen, you can have empathy. There's a disconnect, because a lot of people that have opinions on education, the only time you were in the classroom was when you was a student. And so teachers, social media, again, has given us a platform for people to see the stuff that we deal with in the classroom as teachers, whether it be us making a skit and making it funny or whatever, or the videos like the one of the teacher, that kid that punched that teacher in the face because he said, she slammed his arm in the door. Videos like that, or that kid that pepper sprayed that teacher because he took her cell phone. People are seeing like the wildness that there is in school, so there's a little bit more sympathy, but still there's just, it's like, how do you, if I could ask y'all how, because people always ask this question, they're like, if you're complaining, tell us how to change it. It's like trying to turn around an ocean liner. It take time but we got to start making the steps to turn it around.
What you just said and what you're doing right now is teachers do not control the narrative.
Yeah.
What the world sees now, but now that we're having social media, now we're having these podcasts,
a little bit more.
We need to get and like I said, and organize and put up our billboards, put up our own commercials to know what's actually going out there. We have to control the narrative. And what's happened, unfortunately, it's been politicized. Before in our county, always a school board member, I don't know what is out in you guys' land there, it was always nonpartisan. It doesn't matter what it is. We do not know your political party. We're voting for the person there. Now, all of a sudden, it is political. Because guess what? If you have a district like we have, it's almost $1 billion a year to control them and so forth there. So but we have a humongous district. But it's crazy. But teachers need to get together and control the narrative. And that's what we do here. But we need to get not just teachers watching this, we need to get other people so that they know what's really going on, because they don't know what's really going on.
Yeah.
So when you was like, how do you change? I was sitting here thinking to myself, well, damn, you can't. But then... It seems
it's one of those that's discouraging. It seems impossible.
Right. But then when you listen to Mike, and I'm about to ask you, because I said it within 25 years, how drastically has education changed? And and you said it was by a great number. But so here's my thing: 25 years teaching, did it change for the better or for the worse? Now I know you said it's more politicized now.
Yeah.
Well, some person might look at that and be like, "Well, that's actually a good thing now." I get it. It just really depends.
And we can go into that. Where one of my favorite buzzwords is, "Oh, don't you believe in parental rights?" I go, Absolutely. I absolutely do.
Absolutely.
And guess what? And that's why there's a school board. And every parent has the opportunity to go vote for that school board person there, where the community then elects them, not you decide, I'm a parent, you're going to listen to what I have to say. Well, listen to what you have to say, run for the school board then. Do you notice how they try to weasel that in there?
Right.
And that's one thing that needs to change there.
And speaking of school board, shout out to my one of my good friends, Shivy Brooks. He was actually voted on the school board. First, ever, I think it was like in 100-something years, first teacher to be voted on the school board now. So
that's insane.
And that's in Georgia. So shout out to Shivy, doing his thing in the Atlanta area. So that, to me, that's a big change. And look, that's something to be optimistic and look forward.
Worked years to get that like that. I mean,
definitely.
But now you have to have money. If you see, like I know in our district, what used to go for 20 years ago to run for school board, now because it's politicized,
that's some type of status.
He was running a real campaign.
I'm telling you,
he was.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. He worked really hard to get
in the old days, back when I was teaching before millennium, you could mom and pop it.
The way that you said
and win. Now you need the backing of someone else to do it, and that's about education.
With engaging it from 25 years, then if you could predict, what do you think it's going to be within the next 25 years?
It's scary.
It is scary.
Because
scary.
That's why, unfortunately, we have to, and here's the thing, and which I always tell people, I will not talk your politics, but I will talk issues with you.
Yeah.
Issues, not politics.
I like that, Mike.
Issues, not, and they're not doing that.
I like
because,
that.
Because if you're this political party, I'm going to label you. And that's why Kierkegaard always says to label is to negate. Ooh, a Kierkegaard reference. But it's the truth. It's the truth. So no, I'm not going to talk this. Let's talk issues. Yeah. What's really important here?
Respect.
And the biggest thing now is, and again, we have our charter school peeps, we have our private school peeps, but here's the point: do they have you can take our money now, which they do in Florida, but do you have the same accountability? Do you have to take all the same kids that we have to take? And if not, well, guess what? You shouldn't get the money. I'm sorry, I said it. But we have to take care of, we make the accommodations. We take care of those that fall through the cracks.
Yep.
Well, what about the other schools that are taking your money?
They need to be held accountable,
And what was weird is like let's say there's a private school that now that the money, you can get that money to go to that school. But you know what they did over the past year? They raised their tuition the same amount as what they got. And I can't mention names, but you all know what I'm talking about. But that's just, give me a break.
I mean, at the expense of people getting mad at me, but on this, I really don't care. Because I had to adjust this as a mother. I put my daughter in a private school. Didn't help her. My daughter was having behavior problems because when she went to the school, now this is my situation specifically, but until I became a parent, I did not realize the significance of the amount of stuff that we offer as public schools, the things that we have to have in place because we can't have kids fall through the cracks. There was a teacher at Peyton's school that looked at me and said she needs to be tested for ADHD. I did not know. You cannot legally look at a parent and say your child needs to be tested for ADHD because Peyton was having all these behavior problems at her school. And like consistently, like every day. And I mean, I felt like absolute crap as a mom. Like, I mean, it was a really, really hard time. And I finally got to the point where because I'm a teacher in a public school, I was like, if this was happening at my school, these are the services that they would provide to Peyton. The school she was at, the private school? No. They ain't got no services
At
like
a public
that.
school, they have to.
They have to,
They have to.
because we have to be able to help.
Yes.
But
And
they
we do.
expected
We try our
Peyton
best.
to not have those problems, because they expect people who have to pay for their kids to go to school for their kids not to have those types of problems. And now that Peyton is at a public school, she's at my school on the elementary side, my daughter is absolutely thriving.
I was going to ask you, where does that extra money go then with the private school? If they're
I have not the slightest
bringing
clue.
in
God
specialists
forbid
and
they're
stuff
not
like
for profit.
right,
I
they're
ain't
not,
got
they're
a
not doing
clue. I ain't
specialists.
got
They
a
don't
clue.
have these. They don't have.
I'm
those
telling you,
resources.
the teaching that my
crazy.
child was getting at the private school that she was at, and there's a great private school in Mississippi called North Point. North Point, I think, is like the #1 private school in the state of Mississippi. Fantastic school. She ain't going to North Point. We'll adjust where we need to, but right now for you in elementary and in kindergarten, the best thing, because people need to do what's best for them and their children. The best thing for my daughter to get the accommodations and the services she needed was to be at my school. Yeah. My daughter, I don't know what y'all was teaching up in here. I don't know if y'all was only teaching ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, but the school that my daughter is at now, the education, what she was being taught, the level of curriculum and what she was being taught at her private school as opposed to what she's being taught at my school, the educational foundation, completely different setup.
That's what I was about to ask you. I was like, do you think
Completely different setup.
her being with you in that close proximity every day is aiding in her thriving as well?
I mean, it definitely plays a part, 1,000%. When she gets on green, she comes down to 6th grade at the end of the day, and she's like, "Mommy, I got on green," and like all my 6th graders go crazy. They love it. It's a great like family environment there, but I'm not over there with her, during class. She's got a national board certified teacher. She's got a teacher assistant in her classroom. The preschool she was at, same amount of kids. There ain't no teacher assistant in there. That's why she glued her crayons to the underside of her desk on the first day of school. I said, "Baby, I ain't know Elmer's glue was that strong. I ain't know Elmer was working with no glue like that." and the teacher never saw. I mean, she didn't see it until I guess 30 minutes after she just sat there, just glued her crayons to the underside of her desk. Her class that she's in now, her teacher, there's no way you would be able to do that.
And then when we're talking about teaching, and there you go. As what we are teachers, we go to professional development. Mm-hmm. We have to get certified.
Yeah.
We have to have our lesson plans.
But I think some private schools do. They have some of them don't have to be certified.
Some charter schools as well.
That's the point.
Some charter schools, the teachers don't have to be certified.
Nope.
Because see, I think that at Peyton School they didn't to teach
and
kindergarten.
that's what the public
to be
needs to really know when we're talking what needs to change in education, where somehow we have to control the narrative. And again, what's been going in that part for 25 years, it hasn't changed yet. I'm waiting. Get Matt Damon.
Yeah, I'm on the fence with that one.
Which one?
I mean, private schools, they able, as a parent who paid for private school, they should be able to not make their own rules, but you know what I'm saying? They play by different rules than what we play by.
That's what we said. Have them all be accountable, just like everybody else.
But
that's what I want.
But they're not, because they're not a public entity and it's private. They set up how they held accountable. The public schools, because it's to the public, we set up how it's set up how we're held accountable. But it's different. You know what I'm saying? When you are paying, you feel like, oh, I'm paying out of my pocket for my kid to go to school here. I should be able to say X, Y, and Z, and I can raise all kind of hell. I'm not dissing private schools, charter schools. I'm not dissing none of that. I'm saying from my perspective as Peyton's mother, this is what decision that we made for us.
And that's what I was saying. I'm on the fence about whether you're certified or not. Accountability, it just a matter. It really just boils down to that person's principles, that person's ability, his passion or his or her passion towards what they're doing in this profession. Because I know some certified teachers that...
But public schools, there's people that ain't held accountable. It's across it's education across the board. It doesn't matter, private,
it's
public.
It's an individual thing. You as an individual person, how are you approaching this profession? Why are you here? And how hard are you willing to work? I get it. We have to take the dings that come with it because, but at the end of the day, certified or not, you have to be held accountable and be willing to go above and beyond to service these kids.
But it's back to what Mike was
Otherwise,
saying.
get up out of here.
Well, it's back to what Mike was
If
saying.
you have to.
Again, it plays into politics.
It goes into
But
politics.
whether it's public or
And
private,
that
it
has
plays
been the
into
biggest
politics.
It
That's
used
the
to be
biggest change.
no politics. What's best for the kid?
Whether it's
And
public or
that's our
private,
bottom line here.
politics.
Yeah, there you
Man, I know we can definitely touch base on the finances of an educator. We can probably spend this whole episode, but we do have some other points. What about the basic respect for the profession?
Yeah, I mean, I heard somebody would say one time, because people always look at the history of things. Somebody said that because the history of education, historically, most teachers were women. And so the pay is tied to the historical aspect of education, that women weren't paid as much as men are. And so the profession wasn't either valued as much or whatever. So the pay is linked to the history of it.
Well, now that there's men teachers, we did not. You need to switch that memo up because.
But it's linked to the history of it.
It is.
The history of it.
True.
And I mean, obviously, I haven't done any extensive research on it, but if you look, a lot of schools are. My school that I'm at now is the first time we got 2 male teachers on our team. The school that I was at, all 6 of us in our English department were females. And so, I can see how society as a whole, how that part would play a role in it, because you can look now and see that in some jobs, men are paid more than women and they do the same job. So that particular part has to do with the history of it, but that ain't the only reason.
Right.
That may be where it started out, but that's not the only reason now that teachers are not paid what they deserve to be paid.
And when you're talking about respected,
Yeah.
back in my day,
I'm about to get a tally. I'm about to
before
start tallying on my paper. How many
before
times?
Y2K. No,
Not Y2K.
I taught before Y2K.
I was in school doing Y2K.
Okay.
I remember
to die.
Wait, real quick. This is the first time I'm actually happy not to be the old guy on the podcast.
Oh my
Go,
God!
take it away, Mike. Keep going, man.
Yeah. Mr. Rivera, how was it with the time of the dinosaurs? Did you ever meet a
gosh.
T-Rex, Mr. Rivera?
Have the kids ever asked you,
Oh,
was the world in black and white?
Yeah, they joke around. Or they make fun of my hair. But
Aw.
here's the thing. Back in the day, if there was ever a problem with little Susie, little Johnny, little KC, well, guess what? When you called home, something was done. Always.
yeah.
Always. Or now, it's like,
They
well,
talk reckless to their parents, man. I'm like, what?
the he said, she said stuff,
Yeah.
and they get the benefit of the doubt.
Listen, I have heard some kids before. I'm like, hey, if I talk to my mama like that, she'll bring my bags to the school and drop them. Don't come back to my house. I have heard kids go off on their parents when we've had to contact a parent and the parents hand them the phone. I have heard kids argue with their parents. One kid hung up on her mama. I was like, girl, you are brave. Mm-hmm. You are brave. Like, what in the world? I would never.
She's probably not that brave.
Not brave. Brave might not be the best word, but
no. What I'm saying is, no. From your perspective, yes, she was brave, but from her point of view, she's probably like, I don't have to be brave. My mother's not going to do nothing when I get home.
That's what they say that all the time. I'm like, what in the world?
My mom's not
like,
gonna do
I asked
nothing.
one kid straight up. I was like, if I call your mom right now, what's she gonna say? He's like, she ain't gonna say nothing. She don't care. I was like, bet that up. I can't. Mm-hmm. I'm like, so then at that point as teachers, we have to find, which we already naturally find, different avenues, because you don't want to have, it's some teachers, from a parent's perspective, I can't understand this. There's some teachers that they call the same parent multiple times within that week. 2, 3, 4 times. And the parent has gotten to a point where they're frustrated because they're like, you've called me 4 times this week. And y'all know as a parent, even if you're doing something at home, some behavior don't change that quick. You know what I'm saying? Some stuff, obviously, fighting and stuff like that might change, quick. But sometimes there are different avenues of handling disciplinary problems
and
than
that's
calling
that
the
you just
parent
said
every single time
the D
that
word.
the kid does something.
That's what I was about to say.
Discipline.
Why'd you pick your mic up like that?
But that's the thing, how discipline is
I
handled.
feel like I'm back on stage.
As it is today, as it was before. Mm-hmm. Before you do something, no. Mm-hmm. Now it's you're like you always say, here's your bag of chips.
Yeah.
Here's your bag of chips.
Yeah.
That's a good point, and I'm glad you said that, because again, I know we say the popular sound bites, what the things, the woes of cries of educators that we go through. I get it. Mm-hmm. But there's also a small percentage of people, mm-hmm. and I think you just spoke for them, especially for the parents. Like, at what point does your classroom management come in hand to where you don't have to keep calling me on my job 4 times a day or throughout? You know what I'm saying? I have a job as well.
Because at that point, if you have to call me 4 or 5 times a week, we need to sit down and have. So at Peyton's school, when she was getting in trouble like that, it's immediately, because you're getting in trouble every day. Mm-hmm. Your teacher is having to say something to you every single day. At that point, let's have a meeting. So I said, can we have a meeting? Because at this point, I feel bad for your teacher, because this is every day. So let's me and your teacher talk and we communicate, because we on the same team.
Right.
We talk and we communicate and figure out what is going. Why are you exhibiting this same behavior? Because again, some kids, the parents genuinely will be like, quit calling me.
Right.
I'm not one of those parents. Like this was my daughter's first year going to school. Obviously, she was in preschool last year, but this is my first year experience wise as having a parent or having a child in school. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I want to communicate with the teacher and say, this is what happened, you know what I'm saying, when you called me and said X, Y, and Z. Now I'm like, did anything happen? Or like,
right.
And so that's always like a sticky situation,
I think,
and a
honestly,
tough topic, because it's always going to be different perspectives.
Right. And because there are those parents that are not as involved, but come on, that'll take away from the light from those who are actually answering the phone calls. But
that's what I'm saying.
When we do call,
it's the parents.
There's some good parents out there too.
It's the parents that are involved that are getting frustrated and saying, "You've called me 5 times this week. I'm working on the behavior with them at home, but my God, like."
Right. Because at this point, because watch this. At this point, initially you're reaching out to that parent because you're like, "Hey, I might need assistance." Because
we're rocking with you.
Right. There's something that I need you to do as a parent. So when the parent does that,
we're rocking with you.
When the parent is actually checking those boxes, but you're still calling them. Mm-hmm. It's okay for that parent to look at you kind of and be on something. All right, come on, teacher, what are we doing?
I mean, before I look at you on some stuff, can we have a meeting?
Well, now, no. That's included into the box checks.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. But there's another person involved, and that's admin there. They're supposed to be handling these things.
You're saying something, Mike. Hold on.
No. They're not handling.
Come on, Mike. Talk to them.
The stuff that I'm talking about as far as like them having to call home is like they won't stop talking in class, or they won't stop
That's
playing.
Supposed to deal with the code of conduct.
That's the type of stuff I'm seeing people calling home consistently because they're like, they won't stop talking, they won't stop playing. It's not like
we're mixing two different things.
It's not
the
like
level she's talking about is the stuff that can be handled, is what you're saying.
Oh, you're talking, yeah.
And now he's saying at one point, and because I got you, because that's how crazy, how muddy these waters are.
Yeah, but they're very muddy.
Right. But you're right. There's some point when the administrators have to.
Yeah.
But I think if over here on this side, if you and that parent have that relationship and you're actually, like I said, those boxes are checked, at that point, if the parent's doing everything in their power, and if the teacher's doing everything in their power,
at that point,
then
right.
At that point, administration has to step in, and now they have to do their part, and they have to, check their boxes, and then anything after that, of course, then you have to look into other specialists to see what.
But the
might
hard
be
part about
best
education,
for the kid.
The hard part about education too is just because you were a good teacher doesn't mean you're going to be a good principal, because you might know how to manage.
Say that.
You might know how to manage kids, but you don't know how to manage adults. When you become an admin, you have to manage adults and kids.
You definitely got to say that again for the people in the back.
Just because you were a good teacher does not mean you're going to be a good principal. Because again, being an admin, you are managing people. You're no longer classroom managing small people. You managing adults and kids.
If I could sprinkle any of my spirit onto to the educators in the world, we won't have that problem, because I'm one of the ones. I'm very self-aware. Mm-hmm. I know what I know, and I know what I don't know, and I know I would not make a good principal.
Oh my gosh!
So therefore, I would never even attempt such a thing.
I could never.
I know my lane, and I'm gonna stay in it.
I'm gonna stay in it.
A lot of these teachers, they don't know their lane.
I'm not drifting over.
And they step outside their lane, and then they become a not so effective administrator, and then that just kind of I don't want to say destroys, but it kind of
Which you have good
messes up some stuff in your school.
We both have good administration at our schools.
You know, and I wish I could just shout out what a great person she is. But I like the fact that she had 17 years of classroom experience.
Absolutely.
You know,
because some are only living after 2.
Bro,
yeah.
Some of these people be having like 2 years of classroom experience and then become a principal. Absolutely not,
Texas, that's
dude.
a minimum requirement. I don't know if that's across the board.
I don't care what nobody says.
And that goes to what you're saying is because when you have that experience as a teacher, then go into admin, you have worked on those relationships with the teachers. You know how it feels. You build those things up. You can actually walk into a classroom, see what I'm teaching, go, I'll take over
here.
When it
my principal,
drop your mic.
Do the same thing.
When an AP or principal just walks in, let me start talking to them. Like they're getting engaged in the lesson. Man, I just start smiling.
It makes me so happy.
I got your back. I'll run through a wall for you. I'll run through a wall for you.
It makes me so happy.
Because those years of experiences, I mean, is exactly what it is. Experiences. So you have 17 years to pull back. All your frame of reference is very vast, and you can pull back and remember the times maybe in your 5th year where this kind of similar situation happened, and you can remember what you did then, and you can kind of take that skill and then apply it to the present day. You can't do that with just 2 years, baby.
Right. And I've seen I literally love my principals at my school. Again, I would do because I know whatever my principals ask me to do, they willing to do the exact same thing. I have seen my head principal taught English. My assistant principal taught math. I have seen both of them go in classrooms and help struggling teachers. I have seen both of them say, let me come in.
Smile on the teacher.
Model lesson.
It's street cred.
It is the
no
phenomenal.
politics required.
None. You see a teacher struggling and you go to help.
Yeah.
And this is these folks running around all that too. Because let me recognize the fact that, especially since I got good admin, let me recognize the fact they running around all day putting out fires. Because that's the way school is. Even if you got systems and structures in place, baby, somebody doing something, okay? But even in the midst of that, they still find time to come in. If a first-year teacher is not understanding how to teach something, last year when they had me teaching math, Lord Jesus, the math, because I'm an English teacher, the math principal, after she'd been running around all day, would come in my class and teach one of those class periods so that she could model for me how to teach a particular subject. I have never seen a principal do that before I got to the school.
My girlfriend, she interviews principals. She hires principals. I should have been like,
girlfriend, what? No, I'm sorry.
She hires principals. And she was telling me about this interview with this one principal. So this just goes back to what we're talking about, the state of administrators that are coming into the field now. So one of the questions was, what's some of the things that people would say good about you, you know what I'm saying, in your profession? And this one guy, she said, he looked at us, it's a whole board of, he's doing his interview in front of it. He looked at everybody with a straight face and said, well, a lot of people always complimented me on how well I dress. I'm a very sharp dresser. She said they tried to keep a straight face the whole time because they're like, sir, this has nothing to do with what you're about to walk into, matter of fact. But the fact that was your go-to answer, that's what you had to pull. That's your best quality at this point. I'm happy
because you're going to have to go be a J. Crew model after you have to quit being a principal.
That's what you're saying is who's hiring them? Is it the quote, the old boy network,
the good old boys network. Oh my gosh.
Because we got,
don't even get me started.
At my school, we got some great people. And I'm saying that. And they've been trying to become principals, and they are wonderful. Yeah. And they know who I'm talking about. And I'm giving them props because I'm smiling because I know how great they would be. And they're not getting that opportunity. The good old boys network. Yep. Yeah.
Why haven't you ever pursued becoming an administrator?
Yeah, would you ever be a principal?
Oh my God, no. Well, here's the thing.
I feel like he wants to add a hell no to it.
No, back in my day, but one of my back in my day.
Okay, because I was like, back in my day, though, 3 times.
There was 3 of us, and one of them, and we were all talking because that's the natural progression. And then after a while, I said, it's like, it's not worth it. And again, we do comedy, and they would find some clip, and then that you can't do that. Sorry. But the point is, though, I've seen what happens, And remember, in my county, they're not on like I have quasi tenure, if you know what that means.
Nope.
Meaning,
I don't know what that is.
It's tougher to get rid of me, but I work hard.
Okay.
But for they're like
sense.
usually AP, they're on year-to-year contracts and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So they're under that fear and things like that.
Yeah. But
there's so many really good people that try that have that experience that oh my God, you'd be fantastic. It's
Yeah.
like, well, why aren't they?
Yeah.
And we need some people to actually go and like a teachers group to say, hey, let's be in that.
Yeah, we should vote. Teachers should be able to vote who'll be a good principal.
I'll speak to this one because I'm a state tested subject, but I know that you can't grow what you don't measure. And so I'm not against data. Actually, data is good to a certain extent. But these kids are tested. They are over-tested. They are tested out. They're tired of tests. And quite frankly, me too. And I feel like they have a test every, like a significant, like state type of test every 9 weeks. And data, I know we use the data to drive instruction and we use the data to help us see, where our kids are.
Do we really?
But I mean, I do. My school does.
Okay.
My school does. My old school, nah. My new school, they do use the data. But even at my new school, it's still too much. It's too much testing.
Well, I only say that because I know a lot of people. A lot of districts in the different states, they mainly use it to get that check. Make sure that money's still coming in.
I mean, my principal, I can go to my principal and say exactly what I'm saying right now. They're tested too much. Mm-hmm. They're tested entirely too much. And there's a point in time where the kids get to a point where they're just like, I don't care about this. Kids will try for teachers that they like.
Yes.
And so kids will try for teachers that they like because we try for our principals because we like our principals.
Mm-hmm. Well, we like our kids and we want our kids to succeed.
I like my kids and want my kids to succeed. But at some point in time, it's like they're saying don't teach to the test. And it's like, but you grade me on the test.
And sometimes you don't know what's on the test.
Yeah, I'm like,
our state test, we don't know for like math and things like that. And they're like going,
how do y'all not know what's on the...
Well, they tell you certain standards, but you don't know specifically.
Because I was like, we know the standards.
Yeah, but for example, they're like going, because you'll have the kids going, oh my God, that we, and they'll work so hard, and then the kids are like, half of what we reviewed was not on it because they don't know specifically.
And it's almost like whoever writes the test, which we talked about, and I did go to my principal and talk to her about this. I said I took the test that the kids had to take. And some of these questions that are on here, these are on purpose. It's not to get kids to critically think. Some of these questions, who wrote this test? Do they teach kids? The person that wrote the test, do they teach kids? And some of the stuff that y'all are asking these kids to do on these tests, some of the stuff adults can't think like this.
Right.
You're asking a 11 and 12-year-old to answer a type of question like this.
It's a lot of trick questions.
It's their trick questions.
It's a lot of trick questions.
I'm like, some of this stuff, how would they even pull that answer from the
I've
basket?
heard horror stories, though, about grading curves. Have you? About what passes on a state test? What percentage? And sometimes,
oh my gosh, it's a nightmare. If we failed kids that failed the state test, nobody would pass because the state test.
Nobody
first of all, the
would
state
get
test,
that money.
right? The state test is hard.
And who's getting the money?
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes back to there's a lot more politics in education than people realize.
And
so
who makes the money on testing? The testing companies.
So the test, that's who writing the test, baby, because I know they ain't been in any type of classroom. And I know that some teachers that were teachers work for those companies now. And so they do have input. But some of these questions, I'm like, there's no way a teacher wrote
Probably
this.
the same companies that own prisons and tobacco
well, you know,
companies.
they said that
stuff.
they build the prisons based off of your third grade reading or the third grade state test for
was it prison?
School to prison pipeline.
School to prison pipeline.
That's what I'm saying. The your third grade test scores for the state, they determine how many prisons they are going to build based off of them third grade.
Off them third grade.
That is
babies.
insane. Third grade? Are you serious? If we're going to talk about something that's wrong, we can have a whole conversation on the school to prison pipeline.
Definitely.
Whole conversation.
Well, you need a culture where you're actually helping the student. And that's one of my biggest things.
Absolutely.
By putting them in the right class where they're going to succeed, not in a 6th, 7th, or 8th grade class that's going to overwhelm them. And then they're going to shut down.
35 kids in there.
Right.
Yeah, they're going to shut down. And then, let's take it again. Let's do this. And it's just... It's insane because you're hurting the kids.
And
that's the bottom line. You are hurting kids.
And because it goes back to what you were saying earlier, we're testing them to prepare them for this measurable data. Mm-hmm. And the data can be used for many different ways. I mean, it's debatable, whatever. But one thing we're not doing is teaching them life skills.
I wish
we're not being able to teach them things that would actually prepare them for life.
I wish I knew how to write a check
versus
when I got out of
getting
school.
them ready for a test.
I know they don't have to write a check now. Yeah, I
you know
agree
what I'm
with
saying?
you. I know they don't have to write. Nobody really writes checks anymore. But when I got out of school, I wrote a check first time. I didn't even sign it. My grandma was like, "What are you doing? You have to sign this." I was like, "I didn't know. I don't know how to write a check."
Yeah.
And I mean, even having a budget. I mean, stuff like that.
We have a program that we do in 8th grade called Finance Park in my county, Pinellas County, where the kids learn. They get a scenario. Do they have a family? Do they have kids? What type of job they have? What do they make annually? Then they have to figure out what they make monthly, do their little math. Yep. Then they have a budget, a budget, which is a plan, and then they have to spend it, and then without going bankrupt. But here's the point. That is a wonderful class to have. Right. But why don't we also have that in 9th, 10th? So, it's like once they're done with it, they're done with it.
Yeah.
And they're going to forget it.
It shouldn't be an elective. It should be a core class.
Actually. It shouldn't be elective.
Because here's the thing. It's the same thing with as parents. You don't raise your children to be in your house forever. Right. You actually raise them and prepare them to be in the real world. Mm-hmm. So they can thrive as an adult.
Be productive members of society.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would do my kids injustice, just teaching them, okay, make sure my rules is for life. Right. And make sure, you know what I'm saying? And just teaching them things that only apply within my four walls. Right. So it's the same thing that is that applies to our school districts and things of that nature. We're not teaching the kids.
And I think
the things they need
help
to
kids.
Really know.
Put kids number one.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I will say this too. The parent-teacher relationship. Coming from the perspective of a parent and a teacher, us having a good relationship as parent and teacher, it is beneficial to the kid. Again, we're talking about helping the kid, what's best for the kid. But there is such a lack of empathy on both parts. There is a lack of empathy on both, because there was some stuff that I said before I became a parent as a teacher that I am absolutely shamed. I'm like, I cannot believe I said that, because I had no idea, because I wasn't a parent with a kid in school. And now being a parent with a kid in school, I even more so pay attention. I'm like, okay, that's somebody's child. So check your tone and how you speaking to them, because you wouldn't want anybody to speak to Peyton that way, And so it just changed my perspective going from a teacher to being a teacher and a parent. The teacher-parent relationship is important, and I think one of the things that needs to change in education is we need to do collectively, parents and teachers. If we could figure out a way to make the relationship better between teachers and parents. That would significantly change some things.
This is great. I have an estranged relationship with my children's teachers, because I never had to get a call about behavior. I never had to get a call about. So it was, I just had to find myself popping up just because, just to say, hey, But how often do you really have to do that when there's not an issue where you're have to be up there, you know what I'm saying, to build that relationship.
That brings into the problem of not only contacting when it's something disciplinary or whatever,
Right.
And so, but again, that goes to a time
They
thing
don't call
as
me
well.
about nothing.
It's like the fire in the room gets the most attention, especially with the limited time that we have too. So this episode is only a certain amount of time. We could go on forever. We could spend 4 or 5 episodes.
This should be a series
talking about this.
This could definitely be a series. But man, it was a very good conversation. Again, man, you have...
And the audience has lots of opinions.
I can't wait to read these.
Please be respectful to each other.
Now, just know this. Just know this. Please
be respectful.
Understand
to each
this.
other in the comments.
We ran out of time. Just know that.
We could continue.
We didn't run out of topics and subjects. Like I said, there's so many that we didn't. So, please don't be in there like, well, you didn't talk about. We know. It's literally just a lot we was not able to unpack. Yeah. But just know, like I said, this is something we probably have to circle back to on another episode and dive into the other. Because, I mean, we can, like you said, we can go on for hours and hours and days and weeks and weeks. But definitely hit us in the comments. Let us know, your thoughts on some of the topics that we discussed today. And then you can go ahead and sprinkle in some comments that, we might, when we go to circle back on, and we can hit and touch on that time as well. But we thank you.
Thank you.
For our Teachers Comedy Tour. Thanks you. And we also want to make sure you guys remember to come see us. Buy your tickets. Make sure you follow us on social media platforms. Make sure you're following the podcast, Teachers Off Duty Podcast, on all platforms. Make sure you follow me, KC Mack Funny, on all platforms. And follow these good people. Bye-bye.
Honest Teacher Vibes.
Mr. Rivera Comedy.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank you
best
so
friends.
much. We love you.